Hey class, Prof JC here. We are going to take a little bit of a detour from our mental models, and I want to talk about something in this video. This is probably going to be a pretty short video, but I want you to do some thinking as I talk through this. So in recent days, we've seen the tragedy of the most recent school shooting in Nashville, and if you haven't had a chance to see that, feel free to look that up and read more about that. 6 innocent lives were taken once again, right, because of these mass shootings that continue to happen. Now, I don't want to make this political. We're not going to talk about all of that. But here's what impressed me. Last year, around, I believe it was the May timeframe, there was another mass school shooting, and it was in a city by the name of Uvalde, Texas. You probably heard about it. Again, if you haven't had a chance, feel free to research that as well, and you'll be able to read about it. 2 mass shootings, one in last May, where I believe it was an 18-year-old walked into Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and shot and killed. I believe the total number was 21 people, 19 students and 2 teachers. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. That one captured my attention all summer long. I just kept researching, kept watching, and part of it was because the police that went in, if you study that story at all, you know they went in and they were in there for 77 minutes before they took out the shooter. 77 minutes. And during that time, a lot of those kids, they died. They bled out, and there's a lot of questions that if law enforcement would have done their job today, if they would have responded in a much more timely manner, could more lives have been saved? So now that happened last year, and that just captured my mind and my heart, and I'm still, my mind and heart is with them. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm Afro-Latino, and all of those kids there who were killed, or at least most of the kids who were killed, were of Latino culture. Most of them were of the Mexican culture. And to see that was extremely sad, and to see the response that happened afterwards with law enforcement, with the district attorney, with local politicians, to see them pointing fingers and blame and nobody really caring. And there's so much anger that welled up in that city after that. If you can imagine a city of 16,000 people losing 21 people because of a mass murder and then not having all the answers. Now, juxtapose that with what just happened in Nashville. 6 people, 6 innocent lives lost. But now, one of the things I've done in the last couple of days, and I probably watched this a little bit too much, is I've been watching the body cam footage, which was incredible because it was released the day after it happened. They released the body cam footage that showed them, that showed law enforcement officers from the moment they received the call to the moment they took out the shooter, was 14 minutes. So 77 minutes from the first call that went in, that's in Uvalde, Texas, to the time that they actually took out the shooter. The second one was 14 minutes from the moment that the call went out till the moment that the shooter was dead was 14 minutes. And when you watch the video, so you can go back and you can find all this on YouTube. You can watch the videos, the body cam footage from Uvalde. In Uvalde, you see a lot of cops, a lot of law enforcement. 300 law enforcement officers responded to the scene that day. 386 or something like that. And it took them 77 minutes. I mean, they could have barraged that room, and in no time, they could have taken out that shooter. All these trained officials, and yet all those students in there left to die. And you read some of the stories about some of these kids today, and they're still traumatized and will be for the rest of their lives because of what they had to see. Some of these, young little girls and boys in there, they had to take the blood off of the kids next to them and wipe it on themselves, and, so that they could act like that they were dead. What 8, 9, 10-year-old should have to do that, right? Because law enforcement officers couldn't get the job done. Now, juxtapose that with what you see in Nashville. And I want to encourage you, it's about a 6-minute video. You can find a few videos there online. If I happen to remember it, I'll try to add a link into this video as well. But watch the reaction. And what you see is such a juxtaposition, okay? And what you see is an officer going in. You see an officer who's going in, and right from the start, right, their affect, their energy, who they are, they're calm, they're cool, collected, but they come in with strength, and they're shouting out Metro Nashville Police Department, and they're going room to room, break, they're not walking in meekly and mildly and hiding behind walls. This is what you saw in Uvalde. Again, you can watch the body cam footage from that. I did an hour and 21 minutes. I watched that, I think back when it came out, and I was just sick to my stomach seeing all these guys, these men, and that's what it was men. They were all lined up in the hallway, and they couldn't go in there and take out one 18-year-old kid shooter, right? But you saw this in Nashville. Two of the, and I forget their names. One's, I'm not going to try to remember the names because I'm going to forget, but I would encourage you to research this. Watch the video again. I am going to link to the video, and what you see is the strength of these people coming in. What they had was calm. They were calm. They were cool. They were collected, and they showed courage. And immediately when they heard where the shooter was coming from, and again, you can see all this in the video, they walked straight up the stairs. They didn't walk up the stairs. They ran up the stairs. They're shouting down the hallway. They're making themselves known. They go straight to where the shooter is, and it's just really a phenomenal scene at the very end where they send in the rifleman first, and within seconds he takes down the shooter. And there was just a ton of courage that you see. They were calm, they were cool, they were collected, and they showed courage. And I begin to think about all of you. I begin to think about all of us as leaders, right? That and that's what these men showed, right? And I say men because that's what they were. Okay. There was also a teacher. You know, if you watch the video of Nashville, there was also a teacher outside giving instructions to the police officers, not running and cowering in the distance. She was very calm, cool, collected. So let's say the men and the women that we see in Nashville, very calm, cool, and collected the whole time they're making this happen. And again, within just a matter of minutes from the time that the officers arrived on the scene, 14 minutes after the call was made, within 3 minutes from the time they breached the building, they took down that suspect. And again, much different from what you see here before. And so I just begin to think about this. And so the one question I want to ask you to think about, again, we're not on mental models this week. We're not talking about that. But the one question I want you to consider is, in your own life, where is courage needed? It's amazing to me how you look at these two situations, and I'm not trying to make light of these situations. It's awful. The loss of lives, right? A mixture of 27 innocent people killed by a deranged gunman, right? In both circumstances. But when you see the reaction of the law enforcement officers who showed up in Uvalde, they lacked courage. If you don't believe me, go watch the body cam. In Nashville, Tennessee, they had an ample amount of courage. And I just kept watching that video over and over. It was just amazing to watch these men. I'm sure they were scared. I'm sure that they were filled with fear. But instead, they moved toward the shooter. And they took that shooter out. So because at that time, the shooter was now standing up on the second floor trying to take out law enforcement officers, trying to take out as many people as they can from outside the building, right? She was standing inside the building, shooting outside the building. And the gentleman came in and just took her down within seconds. Didn't even hesitate. That's what leadership's about. So here's what I want you to consider in your own life. Because leadership is all about courage. It's all about courage every single day to make courageous decisions that are going to impact a lot of lives. And sometimes you're going to make some people upset. Sometimes you're going to offend some people because you're making decisions based on where you got to go, based on the vision, based on the mission, right? All of that's really important. Courage is important when it comes to leadership, when it comes to business. Here's the question I want to ask you from a personal, professional, or organizational standpoint. Where do you need more courage in your life? Where do you need more courage in your life? And I want you to know this, okay? I'm asking myself the same question in my own journal. I try to journal at least once a day. I'm asking myself the same question in my own journal. JC, where do you need more courage in your life? And I'm trying to answer that. And I'm trying to answer it honestly for myself from a personal, professional, and an organizational perspective. But for you, just pick one of those, and I want you to write about that, and then tell me why you need more courage in this area. Again, it's only me who's going to read it. You don't have to respond to any of your people. It's just between you and me. You write what you feel comfortable about. It's not going to go anywhere. It stays confidential, but I want you to take a deep dive on that, because again, what you see is over here, a lack of courage. More people died, more destruction, and the consequences for those officers, and rightly so. And the shame that's been put on the law enforcement officers in Texas, and the Rangers and the sheriffs and Border Patrol and the local police, rightly so, right? A lot of people very disappointed in that response. And really what it was is they lacked courage. They were afraid of the 18-year-old boy in there that had an assault rifle. And they should have been, of course they are, but you signed up to do this. Right? When you sign up to be a law enforcement officer, you sign up to say, I will go where other people don't want to go. Okay? They lack leadership. They lack courage. And this other one, you see courage, and what you see was instantaneously they were able to, you know, take out the target, take out the shooter, and make the area safe again. Because of courage. There's a huge difference in the outcome in both situations because of courage. Where in your life do you need more courage? Where are you lacking? Why do you think you're lacking courage in that area of your life? And what will you do to help build more courage in that area of your life? I hope you're okay with us taking a little bit of a break from our mental models. I think that this is important. I want you to study that. I'm going to make sure I put that link down below. And again, if you feel comfortable, if you don't feel comfortable watching it, you don't have to. It's not part of the assignment. I don't want to force that on you. But I think if you get a chance to watch the body cams, especially of the Nashville, right? Especially of the Nashville one, and see how they took it out. And it was all because of courage. And what is courage? It's moving forward in spite of your fear. And that's what courage is, right? And leaders have got to do that. Managers, business managers have got to do that. CEOs have got to do that. Senior vice presidents have got to do that, right? We all experience fear, whether it's personally, professionally, or organizationally. The difference between you, because I know you're all going to be great leaders, and the person out there who's not going to be a great leader, not going to be a great manager, is the fact that you have courage and they don't. So talk to me about that courage. Tell me about where it's lacking, why is it lacking, and what are you going to do to help overcome that? Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.